Hey, this is Jake with AssociatePI. Welcome to part 3 of the CPCU 540 video series. Today we are covering the formulas of the CPCU 540 exam, the most important topic of the exam. And again, this is presented by Jake and AssociatePI. We are an independent organization, independent from the CPCU and the institutes. I'm Jake. I've passed my CPCU 540 exam and I'm here to help you pass yours. So let's get started. As I mentioned, this is video number 3 of the CPCU 540 video series. We are breaking down the formulas of the exam. If you want to see the other videos, go to AssociatePI.com/videos. And let's get right into it. There's a ton of content to cover in this presentation, so I'm going to go through it kind of quickly, but I will break down the formulas for you throughout this video. So the reason the CPCU 540 is so difficult is because there are over 80 formulas to memorize. There are a couple formulas and things given to you on your exam. So what you need to know is on your exam, you will be given 7 formulas. I'll give you those in the next couple slides. You will be given the present value tables, the future value tables, and you will be given a basic calculator. It won't be a financial calculator. It'll just be a basic calculator, no financial functions, just be able to multiply, divide, and use basic functions of the calculator. The present value and future value tables that you are given will cover that later as well, and I'll show you how to use those to calculate present value and future value. So what you're not given is the other 80 formulas. There's over 80 formulas that you need to know and be familiar with for this exam, so that's what we're getting into today. And as a tip from somebody that's been there, is when you are memorizing these formulas, after you've memorized them, and when you go and sit for the official exam, I highly recommend you take the scrap piece of paper. The Prometric Testing Center will give you a scrap piece of paper. I highly recommend you take that piece of paper and jot down as many formulas as you can remember before you even take the first question. So just dump them all out of your mind. You're going to have them all crammed in your mind, memorizing 80 formulas. Dump them all out, write as many down as you can remember so that you can just refer back to that cheat sheet later. You don't have to worry about keeping that in your mind, because once you start going, you get stressed, you start forgetting things, and then you're going to get 50 questions in, and you're not going to be able to remember a basic formula that you had memorized. So just write it down so you don't forget it. That's one of my number 1 tips for passing the CPCU 540 exam. All right, so here we go. The 7 formulas that are given to you on the exam. So these are the ones that you don't need to memorize. So here they are. It's future value, present value, future value annuity, present value perpetuity, and net present value. And here's the formula. So this is how it will look. I think at the Prometric Testing Center, if I remember correctly, there's like a tab that you click on. It might be a piece of paper too, but they give you these couple formulas so that you can use these on the exam. But the tricky thing is they'll give you these formulas, but these are much more difficult. So you can either use, one pro tip is you can actually bring a financial calculator. You'll have to look it up through the institute, make sure your calculator is approved and make sure you can bring it. But you can bring a financial calculator, which means you can do these calculations much easier because it's really hard to use these formulas provided on this slide. These are complex formulas. Or you can use the present value and future value tables, which is what I did because I did not have a financial calculator, so I used the basic calculator and the financial tables. But the problem is the formula to use the tables for present value and future value is not given to you on the exam. So you do have to memorize those formulas. I found these 7 formulas that are given to you on the exam completely useless. I didn't use them once. I did not memorize these formulas because they are way more complex than just using the tables. And it's nearly impossible to calculate these using the basic calculator that's given to you on the exam because you're using exponents and these complex formulas that you just can't really punch into a calculator. It would take you way too long. So to speed things up, definitely use the tables. All right, now into the formulas that they don't give you on the exam. There are over 80 formulas that you need to be familiar with, but in today's presentation, I'm giving you the 3 most important that you must memorize because there's probably going to be upwards of half the questions on the exams using these formulas. Now, that's been our experience, so make sure you memorize all the formulas, but these are what we found to be the most important. So starting with, actually I'll give you a quick review. So the 3 formulas that we're going to cover are present value and future value tables. So remember, I just told you the present value and future value formulas are given to you, but that's the full formula. What you're not given is how to use the tables. So the first most important one and the most important formula in general is present value and future value. You have to know how to calculate that, whether on your financial calculator or using the tables. Today, I'm showing you how to use the tables and the formulas that you need to memorize to use the tables. The next most important formula is the CAPM, the capital asset pricing model. That's a very important one. And then also number 3 is annual rate of return for stocks and bonds. So you have to memorize the rate of return formulas. Now let's get into each formula. I'll show you the formulas and how to memorize them. So first are the future value and present value formulas to use with the present value and future value table. So here's the formulas. I'm not going to read through all of them, but you can see it's the same as the formulas that you are given on the exam, those 7 complex formulas. Look at how much simpler this is. To calculate future value, it's just present value times the future value factor. And the future value factor you find on the table. So you use the future value table. Same as present value. Look at that, just future value times present value factor. So much quicker. All you're doing is taking the future value, which is given to you in the question. Then you find the factor, multiply the 2, you have your answer. Rather than punching all the numbers into your financial calculator, which can take a while, but also not a bad option if you have a calculator, if you have a financial calculator that's approved and you can bring with you. But it is, either of those options are way quicker than doing the formula that is given to you on the exam. Those 7 formulas that I showed you earlier, those are way too complex. Those would take you too much time. You wouldn't be able to finish the exam if you are using only those formulas. And if you want a full list of all these formulas, I forgot to mention this earlier, but you can go to AssociatePI.com/practice exam. If you download the practice exam for the CPCU 540, we also give you the full list of formulas that are given to you on the exam and the list of formulas that are not given to you on the exam. So we'll give you a big list of formulas that you need to memorize right away. And we'll also give you, actually in that same download, we give you these future value and present value tables that you will need to know how to use. But these are also given to you on the exam. We just give you them so that you know that you can practice and know how to use them before your exam. So let's get into an example of using, in this case, the future value table. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, this future value formula, future value equals present value times future value factor. You're going to have to memorize that, and you're going to have to use this table to find the future value factor. So this is it. So you can see the period, which is the number of years, N, is on the left side of the column. And the interest rate, R, is on the top row. So you're going to have to use those two. You navigate, you find your period, you find your interest rate, and then where those two intersect, that's your factor, the future value factor that you want for the formula. So here we go, like I just said, find your period on the left, interest rate on the top. So let's look at an example. So what we want to do is, using the future value table, what is the future value factor of a period of 3 years and an interest rate of 2%? So, as I mentioned, we take our period right here, we go all the way down, there we go, period of 3 years, over to the right, where's an interest rate of 2%? There we go. So that looks like our correct answer, 1.061. And there we go, period of 3, interest rate of 2. The future value factor is 1.061. And that's how you use the table. So as I mentioned, if you want to download these tables, and I recommend you do, so you get used to using them, because this is how you are going to calculate present value and future value on your exam, which is the #1 most important formula, or group of formulas. Go to AssociatePI.com/practice exam. We'll give you our tables so you can get started using them, and we'll give you practice questions to begin practice using the tables. All right, so that was the most important formula. Now the second most important formula. The second most important formula is the CAPM. So there's a lot to read on the slide. I'm not going to read you everything. I recommend you pause the video and read through it. But essentially, this is the second most important formula. So it's the risk-free rate plus beta times the expected market return minus risk-free rate. So you're going to see this pretty often in a lot of case questions, a lot of Part B questions on the CPCU 540. So I highly recommend you know how to use this, know when to use it, and know when to use this versus the DCF model. So there's differences there, but you use those two formulas in different scenarios. So in this slide, go ahead, pause the video, read this full comprehensive breakdown of what's beta, what's market return, what's the risk-free rate, and when to use it. Because this is the most important formula from chapter 11 of the exam. It's a good one, so you have to know it, and it's a little difficult. So that was number 2. Now number 3, the third most important formula, or a group of formulas, is annual rate of return. So there are 2 rate of return formulas that you need to memorize. You need to know the bond rate of return and stock rate of return. These 2 are the most important from chapter 8 of the 540 exam. So you have to know how to calculate these 2. They're right here. Once again, I'm not going to read through everything, but you can pause the video, jot these down. I highly recommend that you do, because these are 2 that you're going to see over and over again on your exam. So definitely memorize how to do these. You'll see them in case questions where it says it'll give you a bond price, and it'll make you calculate the bond rate of return. It'll give you a scenario where it gives you dividends, capital gain, and stock price, and you have to go through the formula, calculate, and come out with a stock rate of return. So make sure you memorize these. You can see them in case questions. These 2 are very important. And again, if you want the full list of formulas, we give them all to you for free. So go to AssociatePI.com/practice exam. You can download everything from this video that I've given you, all the formulas that are given to you at the exam and those that are not given to you, and the tables. Again, that's AssociatePI.com/practice exam. You also get free practice exam, so more questions to practice using the formulas and see how these formulas are going to be given to you in a question format. We'll give you our study guide telling you what the most important topics are, give you our list of formulas, and those tables that we went over. And if you want more resources, you can check out AssociatePI.com/CPCU540. All these extra blogs, all free. You can get them all at that URL. And that's it. That was a pretty long video. That was a lot of content to cover. So this wraps it up for video number 3 of our 4-part CPCU 540 video series. If you want to see all the videos, go to AssociatePI.com/videos. This was a ton of content to take in, so go back, rewatch the video, go check out our free blogs. A lot to know on this exam, so that's why I covered so much today. And that's it for this video. Go check out video number 4, which, by the way, we will be giving you a free practice exam and breaking down some of the exam questions and how these formulas are used on the exam. But go check out video number 4, and good luck on the exam.